Hello YouTube, Jumpman here, and today we're doing Puppy, a medium difficulty Windows machine on HackTheBox that turns a simple set of credentials into a full domain compromise. This box is all about Active Directory abuse, password management mistakes, and one very interesting non-default SMB share. We'll start with access to a low-privileged user, enumerate the domain, and abuse generic right to elevate ourselves into the developers group. That unlocks the dev SMB share, which contains a backup of a KeePass database. After cracking the KeePass hash and uncovering multiple credential pairs, we'll perform a password spray, pivot into a new account, abuse generic all permissions to reset another user's password, re-enable the account, and gain remote access over WinRM. From there, we'll be moving laterally using a website backup credentials and finish the machine by decrypting DPAPI credentials to obtain the administrative account. If you want to see how enumeration, privilege abuse, and credential chains fit together in a real Active Directory environment, Puppy is an awesome learning path. So, with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so let's start out with nmap scan. So let's do nmap -c to use default nmap scripts, -v to enumerate versions of the ports we find open. Then I'll do -pn to skip the ping on the nmap to see if the host is alive or not. Basically, I think this is going to just assume the host is alive, which it is, right? So I'll just do next triple V, which will bring verbosity on the output as we continue our nmap scan. Then I'll do -ln, and I'll save this on the nmap directory, call it TCP, and then I'll get the IP address, which is 10.129.13.3. This can take some time to run, so I have already ran this, and we can check the results here, and we see that we have a few ports open. We have port 53, which is simple DNS. We have port 88, which is Microsoft Windows Kerberos. We also have port 111, which is RPC bind. However, it failed to interact with this port for some reason. And this is really odd to see here on this Windows host, mostly because we don't really see this RPC port open. We usually see it on Linux servers. However, we do see Windows RPC open, so this is common. We also see NetBIOS open. We see LDAP port, and right on the banner here, it says this is an Active Directory domain controller. And we see that there is puppy.htb domain open as well. So we get this information off the domain here. We also see SMB is open, and we also see WinRM on port 5985 over HTTP. We can also see the NetBIOS name of the lab, or I mean the box, right? Which is DC. So with this information, we can already start enumerating the box. But before we do that, let's make sure we have the domain and the FQDN, which is the fully qualified domain name, on our Etsy host file. I already did this box previously, so I'll just clean up here the Etsy hosts and just type in again with the IP. So puppy.htb, then dc puppy.htb. Save this. And now we're ready to start enumerating the box. So this is an assumed breach scenario. So we have credentials for the user levi.james. So I'll just copy them right here. And I'll start out enumerating the SMB. So we can see, just to see if we can find any shares on the SMB that are uncommon. So NXC SMB, then I'll do the target here at puppy.htb, -u levi.james, and then -p for the password, which is this password here, and then /shares. All right, so we can see here we have default shares, but we do have an unusual share, which is this dev share. And if we check the remark here, it says that it's a dev share for Puppy developers. We don't have any permissions in it right now, but we should keep in mind about this share as we continue our enumeration. Okay, so let's move on into the next step of enumeration, which I enjoy doing in domain controllers, which is Bloodhound collection. So it's pretty much Bloodhound is a tool that is used to feel ACLs and LDAP objects and what each object can do and other objects that cannot do. Can view their attributes as well in a graphic. So usually to collect that data, so Bloodhound can ingest, we use collectors, and there are many collectors out there for you to use. You could just choose whichever you like. I'm gonna be using RustHound, most specifically because RustHound is faster compared to like Bloodhound Python, for example. But you can use Bloodhound Python as well if you would like to. And I'm gonna be using the Community Edition one because I'll be using Bloodhound Community Edition. Okay, so let me just first log into Bloodhound here, which is, I am already logged, but there's no data in here, so let's just get some data from the user that we have access to. So Levi.James, then I'll paste in his password, then I'll do -F for the FQDN. So DC puppy.htb, the domain, which is puppy.htb, then -N, which is going to be the IP address here. This -N is going to pretty much set the name server, so to make DNS requests, and in this case it's going to be the domain controller itself. Then I'll do -C for the collection method, and I'll do all. This is going to collect every single object from LDAP, SMB, pretty much everything, and put it in the collection here. So next I'll then just do the output format as zip, because it's just way better and it's cleaner instead of just having a bunch of JSON files on the current working directory. So yeah, I'll just hit enter in this, and now it's going to start retrieving the LDAP objects pretty quickly. And there you go. Now we have a zip file containing every parsed data for Bloodhound. So we can go back to Bloodhound here, and we can click here to drag or drop the JSON files, and I'll just send the zip here. We can close this and go to the administration tab. We can see that Bloodhound is ingesting it. So I'm just gonna wait until this finishes. There you go. So Bloodhound finished ingesting the files, and now we can go into the Explorer here, and we can search for Levi.James, and we see the user is already marked as out. If we scroll down all the way here, we can see that there's a outbound object control, and there's just one thing here. This means that Levi.James, being a member of HR, has generic right over the developers group. Since Levi.James is a member of HR, he has generic right over the developers group. When we have generic right over a group, it means that we can add members into this group, or more importantly, we can also add ourselves into the group. So if you click here in generic right, we can click on Linux abuse, or just Windows if you're doing this from a Windows box. We can pretty much see the exact same thing. Generic right to a group allows you to directly modify group membership of the group. I'm not going to use any of these tools here, and I'm going to pretty much use Bloody AD. Bloody AD is pretty much a Swiss Army knife for Active Directory, and it has a bunch of things that you can do here. You can do a lot of modifications. Do -H here, you can see there's a bunch of authentication methods here that we can do. We can do pass the hash, certificate authentication. Most importantly, what we are focusing in here is the commands. We can check the wiki here for Bloody AD on GitHub. We can see here that here on wiki, the user guide, you can see every possibility that we can do here to Bloody AD. So we can add some like group member, for example, and this is exactly what we're going to be using here. We're going to add ourselves into the developer group. So let me go back here and let's build up the command that we're going to use. So bloody AD-H, and here I'm going to specify the host. So in this case, the host is going to be dc puppy.htb. The domain is going to be puppy.htb. The user is Levi James, and its password, I think I have to copy it again. There we go. And then I'm going to do add group member, and let me check here the wiki. So yeah, so it's a group and then a member as positional arguments. All right, so let's do developers and then Levi.James. There you go. So now it worked. We are inside the developers group. If we run netexec again on and check the shares again, remember that we had that unusual share called dev for the developers. Now that our user is part of the group, we might have different permissions in there. And it is. So we have read permissions over the dev share, and now we can pretty much check if there's any file inside there that might be interesting for privilege escalation. So to do that, I'll use smb client.py, and this Python script here is from inpacket. If you're doing this from like HackTheBox, you can do inpacket smb client like this. But I installed this with UV pulled directly from GitHub, because I'm gonna be using pretty much the developer version. Usually the dev version has more things than the release, so that's why I like to use the dev version. So I'll just do puppy.htb here as the authentication, and we're just going to pretty much check the share using smb client.py. So puppy.htb and then Levi.James with the password in here as well. So let me just go back and copy it. And then I'll do the fqdn. So dc puppy.htb. There we go, we were in. To list the shares here, we can run help and it's going to get the list of the commands that we can use here. We can pretty much just run use and then the share name. So this is going to be dev. So I'm going to use it right now. And then do ls to list the share contents. So right here, we have a keypass database called recovery. And we also see a projects folder and a keypass.xc MSI. I'm going to get this recovery.kdbx because keypass database usually contains passwords because, well, it's made for passwords. So I'm just going to get this and transfer it into my box just by running get and recovery.k, the name of the file, right? I'll just go into project, see if we can find something in here as well, but we're not going to find anything. So we can just exit now. And we see here we have the recovery.kdbx. So we can run a file on it to see what this file is about, and it is a KeePass password database. Perfect. So let's just try opening this up using KeePass as XC. You can use the KeePass CLI as well, but I'll just use the GUI version of it. And I'll hit open database and open the recovery.kdbx file here. Unfortunate, it's asking for a password, but we don't really know the password. We could try password or anything here, and it says that invalid credentials were provided. However, there is one way that we can obtain the password from this KeePass database, and is by running KeePass to John and extracting the hash to crack it using hashcat. So that's exactly what I'll be doing here. So make sure you get the latest John the Ripper version, because if I'm not mistaken, the KeePass to John here is updated for this version specific of the KeePass database. So I'll just go to the opt password cracking, and then I'll go John, run, and then KeePass to John. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is a elf, because I think previously, if I'm not wrong, this was a Python script, or maybe it never was. Maybe I'm just crazy about that. But if you run this, it's going to pretty much describe your usage. So I just go here into past the recovery.kdbx, and it's going to give me the hash again. With the hash enhance, I'm just going to key this into hash and save it into the file. I'll just cat it to show you guys that it's perfectly safe here. Now we can just send this to hashcat and crack it. I already cracked the hash previously, but I'm just going to show pretty much how I did it. So just run hashcat and then pass the hash. I'll just do rockq, then dash user, because we're dealing with this specified the recovery, the name of the database is specified as like this user format, like the hash and then user separated by a column. Because if we don't provide the user here, it's not going to be able to identify any hash. So that's why we need to use the no dash user here. So I'm going to run this here, and the pot file here, it says that all hash is found in the pot file. So yeah, so that means I can just use shell to display the password, because I've already cracked this. So I'll just do the -show here, and it's going to show the password as Liverpool. So I just copy this here, move in the KeePass database again, and then paste in the password and click to unlock. And there we go. We have access to a bunch of credentials, a bunch of set of credentials, right? Each being specific for a user. So we have Adam Silver, which has this password here, Anthony C. Edwards, and the other users here. We could test for each user here, but just to sake of time in this video, the correct set of credentials for the AD is going to be for Anthony C. Edwards. If we go to Bloodhound here and check for domain users, oops, just did not type this correctly. Domain users, and check the memories here. We can see and Edwards here, and this is basically Ant standing for Anthony Edwards. Let's just go ahead and click to view this password here, and I'll pretty much just copy it, or I can just like copy the password by right clicking here and clicking here and copying it. The clipboard is going to clear in 7 seconds. It's just kind of annoying, so I'll just paste the password here and test the credentials in .exec. So nxc, smb, puppy.htb, su, and .edwards. And then the password for him, which is Ant-Man 2025. and it works. Nice. So it's already set here as owned, but we can just right click here and add the user to owned. We see everything here about the user, its home directory as well. We can scroll down all the way again here and we can see that we have an outbound object control. And we can see that we have generic all over the user adam.silver. This user here, we can check some information about him. We see that he is currently disabled. And let's see what else that we can get from this user. He's one of the developers, and he has remote management users. So this means that if we get access to this user here, we are going to be able to get access, shell access into the domain controller. So when we have generic all over the user, we can do a lot of things because generic all basically allows us to do like a bunch of attacks listed here. Like we can do target Kerberos, we can force change password, and also we can do a shadow credentials attack. But we can also do a lot of changes on different attributes from this user. And remember when I said that this user is actually disabled and not enabled? Well, we can actually enable this user and change its password or vice versa. It doesn't really matter the order of what you want to do here with this user, but generic all allows us to enable this account again and also change the password. So pretty powerful ACL here. So let's go back to our terminal here, and I'm gonna do everything again with bloody AD. So I'm gonna just use here the parameters from netexact, and I'll just change this to bloody AD -h dc puppy h2b, and to remove to actually make this user enabled again, we can use the remove function here, and we can remove a property flag from the user. I think it's user account control or something. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. I can recall it, but something like that. So we're going to do remove UAC and then do -h to see more information about it. And here we can see that we can remove the account disable flag. And this is just some of the examples, right? If this user was locked out, we could remove the lockout flag. And basically that's it. So in this case, we're going to remove the account disable here. So just copy and paste in here, and then I'll do adam.silver, which is the name of the user here. I'll just run this. And there you go. So we enabled from the user account control again. And we just removed the account disable from user account control. That's what I mean to say. And now we're going to set the password for this user, which is going to be what is the positional arguments? Target and new password. Okay. So I'm going to do adam.silver, and then I'm going to set the password as ooga booga 123. Yeah, there we go. So Adam Silver has his password changed, and now we can use evo_winrm to authenticate as him. So we can do evo_winrm-i, and then puppy.h2b, and then -u, which is adam.silver, and then this password is going to be ooga booga 123. Okay, looks like that we got affected by the cleanup here, because if this worked, we would be in the documents folder of the adam.silver, but it didn't work here. So I'll just exit this out. So just Ctrl+C to make it faster. And I'll rerun the same commands here. And there you go. That would worked. So I can just cd back here, and we can get feed into this desktop. And we can get the user flag. Now for the privilege escalation, we can run WinPs or any other automated tool to check for privilege escalation vectors on this machine. However, we can just simply go to the C drive. And we're going to find an unusual folder there. So I'll just do ls here. And we see we have this backups folder here. So let's just go into backups. Actually, before that, we can just run iCalculus on it to see if we have permission to access it, right? And we do. So we can just go to backups. And if we do ls here, we're going to see this site backup. So this is really interesting. Since we have access to it and we can read it, we can transfer this to our machine. And a fast way to do this is by hosting a SMB server and using or share. We can just copy the zip file into or share, right? So to do this, we're going to be using npacket's SMB share. Again, if you are in, if you're using Kali, you can just do npacket SMB share, SMB server, sorry, like this. However, I installed this in UV, so I'm just going to use sudo as default because I'm in Ubuntu, and then I'm going to just get the real path of this, just run which with SMB server, and see that it works here. So I'll just do SMB to support, and then specify the name of the share. It's going to be share, and the location of it, where it's going to be hosted in my file. So there you go. Let's see if this works. It's just taking some time, I guess. I'm not sure if this is running. It's supposed to show some message here. Let's specify /debug here. Okay, yeah, it was actually hosting. It was just quiet for some reason. Okay, so now that we have the share here, we can copy the site backup into our remote share. So we can do 2 backslashes like this, and then specify my IP, which is 10.10.16.11, and then share. And I'll just hit enter here. We get an incoming connection, and it's a null authentication. So it's going to copy the zip file into our directory here. All right, there you go. So pretty quick. We can now Ctrl-C and stop the server. Just Ctrl-C again. And now we have, okay, I downloaded some, I think, what is this, Smart Screen Zone Identifier. Oh, whatever. We have the site backup, that's what matters, right? So we can do unzip-l on the site backup. And we can see that if we scroll up, we can see there's a nms config.xml, the back file. So it's in a config file, looks pretty interesting. So I'll just unzip this and see if we can get the file for us for here. All right, so I've unzipped it with no issues. I'm gonna cd into the folder that I created. And here we see the config file. So I'll just cat it, and we find here credentials for the user Steph.Cooper. And the password is chefsteph2025. So we can try his credentials on SMB. So puppy.htb Steph Cooper, and then his password. There you go. So it worked, and now we can check. Let's check Bloodhound again and see what this user can do here. So Steph.Cooper, and we see here is already marked the zone because I did this box already, right? So we can check the members, and we see here that he is a remote management. He's a part of the remote management users group. So we can get a WinRM shell as Steph Cooper. Let's go back here before we get a shell as him. If we check the members of the main users, we see that there is a Steph.Cooper underscore ADM, which stands for administrator. And if we check for the groups here, we see that he is a member of the administrators. So sounds really interesting because when I was doing this box up and release, when I saw this, I was like, okay, this reminds me of a HackTheBox machine that I've already done. I'm not gonna say its name because I'm just gonna avoid spoilers. Not sure if anyone is happy with spoilers on different boxes. Maybe you're working on this box or not. But this is also seen, and the same steps apply into this box here. So pretty much the same thing. We're going to find DP API credentials for the user Steph Cooper ADM, logging in as the Steph Cooper user. Actually, I don't think we even need to get a shell as this user because with NetExec, they recently dropped a way to get DP API credentials, and we can just do NXC WinRM and do double dash DP API, so we can collect the password and the secrets basically for this specified user here. This is an automated way to do it. However, if you want to do, I think the hacker recipes, they have a really good way of doing this. I think we just go here into what is it? I think DP API secrets and go straight into practice. They have pretty much everything documented here. So they explain about what DP API is, as it's an internal component in a Windows system that allows applications to use and store sensitive data. That's just an example as it being passwords. And in this case, is going to be the password for that user. And then usually it's stored in the app data roaming Microsoft Protect. I think this being the master key, right? And the credentials being stored in either the local or roaming folder for Microsoft credentials in the app data. You can do this manually. However, I'm just going to do it automated. So you can just run this command here, and it's going to start and gather DP API master keys, and then it's going to find any secrets and it's going to decrypt it. And there you go. So we have Steph Cooper ADM password. So with the administrator account, we can now simply run secrets dump .py, and we can do puppy.htb and give in here the password. I'll just put this in single quotes because there's a special character here. Then I'll do dc puppy.htb, and then I'll just do a secrets dump of the dc user administrator. And that's it. Now we can get a shell as administrator here. We can do if winrm I puppy.htb administrator, and then do a pass the hash with the anti-hash auth administrator. And there you go. So we can just go into desktop, and we can, oops, just had a typo there. We can get the root flag. So that's about it for Puppy. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.